And what do we have to do? We have to give them another $311 billion? We have to start another war for them like Iraq and spend $2 trillion? Why do the American people owe Israel hundreds of billions of dollars?
Cenk Uygur was a guest on Piers Morgan's show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, to go up against a panel that included far-right MAGA commentator Ben Ferguson, Matthew Syed, and Jack Posobiec, as well as Piers Morgan himself, to talk about the war between Israel and Iran and the United States' involvement in that. We're going to take a look at these clips from Piers Morgan show with Cenk Uygur and the rest. This is a very heated one. Let's check it out together.
This is getting very serious and very real, isn't it, for people in Iran?
Very serious, and he reminded me a bit of, I don't know, if Comical Alley.
Yeah, I was exactly going to say that.
It's just completely ridiculous.
Yeah, completely deluded.
Deluded and clearly shilling for the regime. And I just think of this incredible civilization that stretches back thousands of years with a GDP per capita of like $4,000. Israel's is over $50,000, a freer society, one that wishes to develop and grow and be prosperous, rather than to live in this medieval, religious, fanatical worldview. As all the things that you said there, Piers, were completely true about the way they degrade women and repress free speech and all these other punitive measures that are just so awful to endure. One thing I'd throw in, though, is I agreed with the previous speaker on the panel who said that the Afghanistan war was a mistake. Would have been better not to have gone in. I think that's a fair counterfactual analysis. I actually was against the Iraq war too. But I think we should confront something that I don't think was confronted by the America First lobby, which is that if one agrees that Iran would like a nuclear weapon, as the Nuclear Weapon Atomic Energy Authority has said, 60% enrichment, getting very, very close. And if you also believe, as I do, that they would likely use it, then let's not pretend that America can stay out of this. Even a relatively small nuclear war would lead to a nuclear winter that would have an effect around the world of catastrophic proportions. It would affect farming all around the world. It would lead to famine. We can't allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon. The idea that the counterfactual is staying out and allowing potentially a nuclear strike to occur would be catastrophic. I think we need to face up to that truth.
All right, Cenk, I mean, you were shaking your head throughout all that. I don't understand why you feel comfortable being such a defender of Iran.
I'm not. No. You see, that's total propaganda. Okay, so let's break it down one by one. Okay, so number one, when I see the Israeli ambassador earlier, he sounds like Baghdad Bob to me. Like Iran is the aggressor. No, Israel is clearly the aggressor. We all saw them start the war. Second of all, they say, oh my God, we're so worried about civilians. Israel always kills more civilians than their opponents, and by an order of magnitude. For example, Hamas, terrible. They killed 36 kids on October 7th. Awful, right? Israel has killed 500 times as many kids. So this guy, pretending to be an Iranian expert, is telling us about how much he's concerned about women. Israel has killed 20,000 women in Gaza. How about their rights? How about the rights of to those women to stay alive? How about all the civilians they're murdering in Iran?
Why are you avoiding criticizing?
So when I see you guys,
but Cenk, why are you criticizing?
No, I'm not avoiding it at all. I'm not avoiding it at all.
But
Let me explain.
Let me
explain.
Okay. Why are you ducking saying criticism of Iran?
It's a simple question.
I'm not ducking it at all. You ready?
Yeah.
You ready? It's simple. I don't like the Iranian regime at all. Okay. I'm an atheist now. They would kill me first. I got no interest in the Iranian regime. But the Israeli regime would also murder me. So I want you guys to be fair and balanced. So don't tell me that the Iranian regime is super dangerous to its neighbors while Israel actually attacks all of its neighbors, including Iran. So tell me about how dangerous the Israeli terrorist regime is as it attacks civilians again and again and again, except that you say, well, Muslim lives don't really matter. That's why you guys don't count the Muslim civilians that Israel murders on a regular basis. So look,
what would they murder you for?
The Iranian regime is bad, and it is, and it is. It's just like Saddam's regime was bad. Hold on, Ben, let me finish. So the North Korean regime is terrible. The Chinese regime runs concentration camps for Uyghur Turks. Those Turks are my people. The Russians invaded Ukraine. These are all terrible regimes. That doesn't mean we have to start a war with them.
Let Ben respond.
And it doesn't mean that America has to fight Israel's war for it.
Well, America isn't fighting it at the moment.
We're not
fighting at the moment, America
fight your own wars.
But America is
not $1, not one true.
America is not involved in this war at the moment. Ben Ferguson.
Yeah, it's amazing he just said that Israel would kill him. I asked him 7, 8 times.
That's not true,
What
Piers.
would they murder you for? What would they murder you for? And I said over and over again, you said that Israel would murder you.
They murder journalists more than any other country.
So
they
you're telling
murdered
me right
more
now,
journalists than World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and Afghanistan combined.
Let me be clear.
They murdered more journalists than all other conflicts in the world combined. They murder Muslim Americans, 12 of them. And America does not defend American citizens in the occupied territories.
All right, Cenk, let him
Israel
speak.
murders Americans all the time, and America never defends us.
This is the problem. When you say things that are this egregious, everyone watching around the world is going to look at this and say, this guy is an idiot because you didn't answer the question. You said that Israel would murder you right now.
ChatGPT, look it up. Israel has murdered more journalists than all other conflicts in the world combined.
I'm asking you personally. You said they would murder you now. I'm not going to let up on this. What would they murder you for? You're telling me right now that you think Israel wants to find you and kill you right now where you are?
No. If I go to Israel, you
you're
said
full of crap.
Go to Israel. If I go to Israel, Israel would almost certainly murder. IDF already wrote my name on a bomb. It's not like they're hiding it. And they murder journalists more than any other country. In fact, all the other countries combined. That's a literal fact. And they murder Muslim Americans, 12 of them. And America, they didn't object under Biden. We don't object under Trump because you can murder American citizens only if you're Israel. The terrorist state of Israel is allowed to kill Americans. And what do we have to do? We have to give them another $311 billion. We have to start another war for them like Iraq and spend $2 trillion. Why do the American people owe Israel hundreds of billions of dollars? Why do we owe them more wars?
All right, let Ben respond.
Dead American.
A couple of points here that Cenk Uygur makes that gets kind of drowned out by him talking and Ben Ferguson talking. I don't know why Piers Morgan, he must enjoy this, but I don't know why he doesn't have one person speak and then mute the other person's microphone so that you can hear that person. I mean, this happens a lot on Piers Morgan show where they're just talking over each other and it's hard to understand what's going on. But 2 points here that Cenk Uygur makes, and those are, one, all the right-wingers like Ben Ferguson always say, well, Israel has a right to defend themselves. They have a right to defend themselves. And Cenk Uygur is saying here that the attack on October 7th was terrible. But then do you have a response that's on a similar level? No. It's kind of like 9/11 with the United States. The United States killed many, many, many more people than what Osama bin Laden killed in the United States. That was a tragic thing that happened, 9/11, but I mean, there are some numbers estimated as high as 1 million Iraqis were killed. And we're seeing the same thing with Israel and Hamas. You had this horrible attack on Israel, and then in retaliation, Israel has killed tens of thousands of people, men, women, and children. So at what point do you say, okay, you've killed enough? Does it have to be that Israel then has just wiped out everybody in Hamas, everybody in Gaza, rather? And the other point, when do we say, okay, we've given Israel billions and billions of dollars over the years. When can they just stand on their own? And why does this have to be the United States war as well? Ben Ferguson and MAGA and Donald Trump, it's all, America first. Well, America first is not getting involved in a war on behalf of a country who is fighting a country in Iran who didn't attack the United States, hasn't invaded the United States. America first would be staying out of that war and saying, hey, this is it, man. We've given you guys billions and billions of dollars. You're on your own. But these right-wingers like Ben Ferguson and all the right-wingers in Congress and a lot of Democrats as well, I wish that you could get them under oath to testify and just say one-word answer. Is your allegiance with the United States or with Israel? And you'd shock them if they didn't give a one-word response of one or the other. There would be no filibustering and all that. I just love to get all these people on the record. Where is your allegiance? Is it to your own country, the United States, or is it to Israel?
American soldiers. We don't owe them anything.
Don't talk over each other.
Us. Give me the $300 billion back. Give me the $300 billion back.
Respond.
You owe us. I don't owe you. And Ben, you're supposed to be an American, not an Israeli. Look at me and Jack. Me and Jack don't agree on anything else. But we agree that we should serve America. I say Americans first, not Israelis. Stop the wars.
Let me say this.
Look at MAGA.
Okay, here's what
Let Ben speak.
Number one.
Green, Steve Bannon, all
Cenk,
saying
time out.
stop the war.
All
We
right.
didn't ask for war.
Ben,
Here's the left
Ben
and the right
speak.
uniting, saying we don't want war.
Cenk, let Ben speak.
Number one, my foreign policy has changed drastically from after 9/11. I don't think we should go into Iraq. Afghanistan, if I could have a redo, I would change what I thought about that. I've said that very clearly for years now on TV. But no, I said I've changed my foreign policy. When you make mistakes and you see what happens, it's okay to change. It's called growing up, all right? You learn from your mistakes. I'm not in favor of invading America into Iran. So let me say that first so you put words in my mouth. Second thing, I've seen 2 hostage videos today. One from the guy that's in Iran right now and you. And I don't know why you act like there's a country that is running terrorism in the Middle East, Iran, who's chanting death to Israel. By the way, death to America. They chant death to America too, okay? And why you act like they're not a threat to the Middle East and to American interests over there. That's why Donald Trump said yesterday.
Jack,
that's why Donald Trump said yesterday, if you come after, yes, I do. I do think Iran's a threat to us because they helped kill American soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. They trained the damn terrorists.
No, I asked Jack. I asked an American.
I know people that died serving their country in Iraq and Afghanistan. I just went to Fort Bragg and went to where the 82nd.
Yeah, because you sent them to die on behalf of Israel.
On a plaque. I'm not screwing around with this. Do not tell me that Iran did not help
on
kill
behalf
Americans.
of Israel. Ben, I had these debates with you on the Iraq War. I had these debates with you on the Iraq War. You were 100% wrong then. You're 100% wrong now. You sent American kids to die there on behalf of Israel then, and you want to send American kids to die on behalf of Israel.
Let me bring in, all right.
Jack, I disagree with you on everything else. But
let me bring in Jack.
Speak up here.
Let me bring in Jack. Jack, final word to you.
Well, certainly they're a threat, but in the sense that they're a threat because the United States is currently sending the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier from the Asia Pacific, from Westpac, over to the Middle East. So, by the way, this is the first time that China now has more aircraft carriers in the Pacific than the United States. The first time that's ever happened. Now you're going to have those 5,000 sailors on that aircraft carrier, plus the other 5,000 that are on the Carl Vinson, potentially sitting within range of everything that Iran has. This is exactly what I've been talking about. So the threat to American lives is, and I think it's right there. I think it's what you're saying. It's because America is getting involved in a war that's not ours.
Can I ask a question of Jack and Cenk, just quickly? You say it's a war that isn't yours. If you were convinced, let me ask you a hypothetical, that Iran was close to getting
a nuclear... You guys always do these hypotheticals.
If Iran was close to getting a nuclear weapon,
what is?
As the UN inspectors say, let me ask you a direct question. Do you then think, if America was the only country that had the capability to degrade and destroy Iran's nuclear capacity, would it then be in American interest to intervene?
So should America go around and blow up all the nuclear sites that aren't American? Should we attack China? Should we attack Russia? Should we attack France? Should we attack the UK? All of them? Is that your contention?
So you would
should we attack Israel?
Okay, so it's a consistent position. You would permit. You think it's in America's interests?
No, you asked me a hypothetical.
To permit Iran to get a nuclear.
You're trying to Kafka trap me right now.
No, we didn't.
You're trying to Kafka trap me, and you're trying to say, well, if you agreed to this hypothetical that I asked you, then you must also. No, I'm not playing that game. I'm not playing that game right now. You're saying in a hypothetical situation, should America attack someone? To your point, they do not have weaponized nuclear capability or uranium that is at the point of weaponization at 90%, which they could use for an atomic bomb. They do not have that. They have 60%. So you're saying even if they had 90%, which, by the way, doesn't sit with the DNI Gabbard's assessment and the entire assessment of the intelligence agencies that Iran is not currently developing weapons of mass destruction. They're only enriching uranium. So you're saying, oh, well, that's totally fine. You've never even asked me what I think. You're trying to play this game where you
really? I've been asking myself.
I'm not playing that game.
I'm not trying to play any game. I've been asking myself the question a lot over the last few days.
Because you're setting up a false
if I may just finish. Once I read the report that Iran had been dissembling.
I'm the same. I'm the same as Matthew. I read that report. And what was crystal clear from that report is that there have been constant lies and obfuscation from the Iranian regime in relation to the nuclear program.
From the Israeli regime.
Clearly, they believed that they were being lied to in their ability to report properly about what was going on. They also believed the uranium enrichment was now at a level where it was quite likely and possible that Iran could have a full nuclear bomb imminently, weeks, months, whatever that period may be. And in that circumstance, I took a view. in a way that I'd be very critical of the Israeli government for what's going on in Gaza at the moment. But I took a view that if you are Israel right now and you have Iran with the atomic agency saying they are getting perilously close to being able to create a nuclear bomb,
Nonsense.
that is a time where you may decide that is a time to stop them. And that appears to be
I think diplomacy is possible.
Piers.
I think
so I've got to leave it there. We've run out of time, guys. I'm sorry.
I was asked a question.
Not been tried
this
here.
is the same lies that Israel fed us about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
All right.
The same hypotheticals. Oh, what if Iraq has weapons of mass destruction? Oh, here's fake intelligence telling you that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction.
This is not fake intelligence. This is from the atomic
Israel lied us
agency.
into a war before. And then they always do hypotheticals like, oh, what if the Palestinians say that we don't have a right to exist? No, the Israeli cabinet has voted that Palestinians don't have a right to exist.
Okay.
All their hypotheticals are what Israel actually does.
I've
What
got to
if
leave it
Iran
there.
has a nuke? Israel actually has a nuke.
Okay.
Israel is the most aggressive country and the most likely to use a nuclear weapon. We have to get out of Israel's control.
Okay, I've got to leave it there.
And the right uniting, saying,
I've got to leave it there,
yes, serve
guys.
Americans
I've run
first.
out of time.
Diplomacy, get
I've run
Russia
out of time,
involved.
guys. I'm
Diplomacy,
sorry.
break
I'm
off.
going to have to leave it there. I appreciate you joining.
Not $1, not one troop.
We've gone well over time, but I appreciate you all joining me. Thank you very much.
I totally agree with Cenk Uygur. Not $1, not one troop. Unfortunately, I mean, maybe we won't have troops, but the money is, I mean, they're going to open up the purse for Israel. And of course, at this time that they're claiming, oh, we need to cut all these programs and everything in the United States because we don't have any money because of our deficit and our debt. But of course, there's going to be plenty of money to be found to pay for another war. And Cenk Uygur's point about they're just running the same game plan as Iraq. And honestly, at this point, I don't even know why they bother with the lies. Just do it. Just fight the war. It's not like the American public has any real say in it. And when push comes to shove, you're probably going to have the majority of both parties involved in this. So, I'm speaking as an American. I know a lot of people who aren't American watch my videos, but as an American and the American public, I don't really know what real choice we have because there aren't really any anti-war candidates. They're all beholden to this. But like Cenk Uygur said, Ben Ferguson, he was having the same arguments with him with Iraq, so it's exactly the same game plan. And the media figures, quote unquote media figures like Piers Morgan are going to be all on board with this. They're not going to denounce it if the United States gets involved, even more than we already are. And I loved what Jack Posobiec said there, that it's always a hypothetical. Well, what if Iran develops a nuclear weapon? And like Cenk Uygur is saying here, the United States already has the nuclear weapons. Israel already has the nuclear weapons. Can the entire rest of the world say that Israel and the United States are imminent threats to them when they already have the weapons? And Ben Ferguson early on brought up that the Iranians say death to America. They've been saying that my entire life. The entire time I've been alive, they've been saying, this. But have they invaded the United States? Have they come in here and attacked us? No. So I'm totally on board with Cenk Uygur, and apparently this is the way Jack Posobiec feels as well, and there's a lot of things that I disagree with him on, but the United States should not be involved in this war. Let me know what you think about all this. Do you agree with Piers Morgan and Ben Ferguson on this? Do you agree with Cenk Uygur in being adamantly opposed to this? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I'm Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.